Today we're looking at a helmet that I have been really curious about. It's the Scorpion Covert FX. This helmet has a super aggressive look that just screams, I want to be a Simpson when I grow up. But in today's video, I want to find out, is this thing actually a good motorcycle helmet, or is it more of a vibes piece for your cruiser Instagram photos? So guys, for the last 3 weeks, I've been riding in the Covert FX just to get a feel for it. Those have been cold 3 weeks, by the way. Georgia's weather just doing what it wants to do. But throughout that time, I've had enough time to really figure out the helmet and how it performs on the street, and where it's doing really good and where I think it could do a little bit better. So let's get into it. So guys, the Covert FX is marketed as a street, commuter, cruiser, full face helmet that has a very tough and aggressive squared off silhouette that is clearly trying to appeal to that Simpson Ghost Bandit vibe, but it comes in at a price tag that starts at $275 and goes up from there depending on the graphics options you're wanting. So it's coming in at a way better price point than the Bandit. Here's some of the core specs that we need to get out of the way. The shell is going to be an Ultra TCT fiberglass blend. Safety wise, we're looking at DOT and ECE 2206. It comes in two different shell sizes, the first one going from extra small to large, and then the upper shell size going from extra large to triple XL. Weight wise, you're looking at 3.14 pounds, that's that in grams. The helmet actually comes with a dark smoked visor, and they actually include a clear visor as well. Ventilation wise, you're looking at a brow vent, dual chin vents, and then one rear exhaust vent. And then we've got some extras like a big viewport, lots of chin space, speaker pockets, and a tool-free visor removal. You just pull it off and it pops off. And because I get the question in every single one of my helmet reviews of, Chase, what comm system do you prefer in your helmets? And I have to answer that every single time. This video is sponsored by Cardo. So guys, Cardo is the company I've been trusting for my in-helmet communications for years now, and it's because their product is just so much better than everything else on the market. If you guys are looking for good audio quality, solid connectivity for listening to music or talking to your buddies while you ride, there's literally no better company out there than Cardo, and they have different units depending on your price point. I've been using the Pack Talk Pro and I absolutely love it. There's not a single thing I would change about that thing, and honestly at this point I don't think I could ride without one. If you guys are in the market for an upgrade to your Bluetooth system or your very first one, you guys use my code right there. It'll save you some money when getting a Cardo. Thank you Cardo for sponsoring this episode. Alright, so guys, back to the Covert X. Let's compare the Covert X to some of the other helmets in that style in the market. First up, we have to mention it. It's the Simpson Ghost Bandit. Price-wise, is coming in at $469. Weight-wise, is going to be 3.68 pounds. Next up, we have the Bell Eliminator, coming in at a price tag of $329, weighing in at 3.4 pounds. We also have the Bell Bullet, coming in at a price tag of $399, but coming in at a lighter weight at 3.02 pounds. And of course, we got the Biltwell Lane Splitter, coming in at a price tag of $299 and a weight of 3.28 pounds. So as you guys can see, if you're looking for this style helmet, the Covert FX actually undercuts the majority of the market, and it's one of the lighter helmets. Alright guys, so first off, let's talk about sizing because it's super important. Now, if you look on Scorpion's website or Revzilla's sizing chart, for the Covert FX, if you have a 60 centimeter head, like I do, they recommend you to get the extra large model. I can tell you in my experience, after riding and testing out all these helmets this year, the size extra large for a 60 centimeter head is a full size too large for your head. That's when I started doing some research online to see, is this normal? And then I started noticing people on the lower sizing end, in the medium and small department, they were complaining about the opposite problem. They were saying the helmet fit too tight. Now, I don't know those people, I can't confirm any of that information, but it made me think to myself, like when I'm talking about this review and the sizing, what can I recommend for you guys? At first, based on my experience, I was just gonna tell you guys to, when you're buying this helmet, get a size lower than you are recommended to on the size chart. But seeing those other reviews, what I'm gonna recommend to you guys is try to find a local cycle gear or something like that that has one available and go try it on and figure out the right size for you. Don't trust the stuff you're seeing online because it's a pain in the ass to get a helmet in, it not fit, then you got to ship it back. It's a whole thing. Nobody wants to do that. That's just something to keep in mind when you're looking for the sizing of this helmet. Now, when it comes to comfort and the padding, this is where I also had another bit of an issue. Now, the fabric on the outside of the padding, I really like. I forget what they call it, like Quick Fix or something like that. That material is very soft, very comfortable on the face. I really like that. My only issue with the padding was that it was already a looser helmet on me, and then I noticed that the padding doesn't have a lot of firmness. It's very soft, which does make it for a very comfortable helmet to wear. But at the end of the day, before I can talk about a helmet being comfortable, it needs to be safe. And obviously the helmet has ECE 2206, it has DOT. I'm not worried about the shell's safety. I'm worried about if I got in an accident with this helmet, that padding is not gonna offer a lot of stability inside of the actual helmet. And I would worry that that would lead to safety issues, like if the padding's not tight, the helmet's not gonna hold your head correctly, and now the helmet's not gonna react the way it should. That could be eliminated if I got the right sizing, but as you guys can see, the padding just has no real firmness to it. So I would really like to see the padding get a little more firm in future models. Next up, let's talk about wind and stability. You guys can see from the outside of the helmet, there's not a lot of stuff going on, which is good because that means there shouldn't be a lot of stuff to grab the wind. Now, the good thing with this helmet, 45 miles an hour and under, it's solid. I had no issues at all. Now, when I got to above 65, 65 to 80 miles an hour highway speeds, I did start noticing a little bit of bobbling when I was testing this helmet out. All of my testing is always done on my own personal MT10, so I can have the exact same bike every time. So that way it's the worst case scenario. I'm on a naked motorcycle that has full wind with no windshield. So that's always my testing thing that I use. I noticed the helmet would bobble around a little bit. It didn't really worry me that much. I got behind a couple semis a few times and my head started bobbling around a lot, but I think that was the wind disturbance from the semis, and it was a particularly windy day when I was testing it. Overall, I don't think it would really be that issue. I wouldn't have even brought it up if I was talking to a buddy about it, but it was there, so in the review, I kind of want to touch on it. But overall, it wasn't bad as far as stability in the wind. The only issue that I had, stability-wise, you could say, is the helmet is longer than it is wide, and it has that little front area. And I noticed when I would do shoulder checks to check for traffic, that front area would actually hit on my shoulder and block me from looking as far back as I wanted to. I would have to intentionally look up and over, which is an uncomfortable position for me to be in. All right, so next up, let's talk about the visor system, which was actually one of my favorite parts of the entire helmet. Now, first off, I think it's pretty cool for a helmet at this price point for Scorpion to offer 2 visors with the helmet. One, this helmet just goes with the whole dark smoked visor, and it comes pre-installed on the helmet, which is awesome, but they're also thinking about those guys that are gonna be riding at night, and they just include a clear visor totally for free. It's for free, it's in the pricing of the helmet, but that's pretty awesome at a sub $300 helmet to come with that. Now, as far as the visor mechanism itself, I think Scorpion is doing something super cool here. So one, when you shut the helmet, it doesn't lock like a race helmet or anything like that, but it does solidly get shut and it locks in place and it seals around there. I think it does a solid job there. Then when you pop the visor open, you can get a little anti-fogging little opening there, and then it opens a little more to get wind in for ventilation with the visor still mostly shut. I love having those two options there. I will note, when I was just popping the visor open, the little area that you use to get your finger under and pop the visor open, I wish that was a little bigger. There was a couple times I told you guys I was riding and testing this helmet in the cold. I had heated winter gloves on, so they're a little thicker than normal gloves, and I just had a little bit of a hard time finding the little tab sometimes. So I wish that tab was a little open. Maybe there was a little cutout in the helmet bigger to get your thumb in there. just something little there that would make it a little easier. Now, getting the visor open past those first two little initial cracks, things get really interesting that I've never seen on a helmet before. A lot of helmets will crack open and then they open all the way. Some of them have detents along the way. Scorpion's doing both and none of those. So they have that initial crack that you can crack open, and then they have another detent at the very open position. But Scorpion has these little ridges or ribbing or something that you can feel when you're opening and closing the helmet, that the helmet will like sit in these little micro ridges.
Popped open. That's popped open. Whoa. That. Now listen. Detent.
I don't know what the speed it would be if you would have to go to get that to shut by itself, but it's kind of cool that you can just like get the visor to stop at any of those points. It's kind of neat. I enjoyed it a lot, and I think it's a really neat solution to having the visor like detented all the way open, detented shut, detented cracked, but then like mini tents throughout the range. Never seen it before, was really cool. Also, I know the helmet doesn't look like it's a toolless visor swap, but it actually is. So the visor actually doesn't have anything on the end, so you can just literally open the visor and yank it. Not yank it, just pull it with some force, and it'll actually pop off. It's kind of weird seeing a helmet that looks like you have to get a tool on the side, but you just pop the visor off, so that was pretty neat. I did note that when I was doing the research about this helmet and the visor says it's anti-fog and all this kind of stuff, but having ridden during the day when it was really cold, having all the vents shut, I did notice fogging on the inside, so it's not truly no fog. It didn't do a bad job, but it certainly had fogging and distortion when I wasn't moving. Now, I will note that Scorpion does offer a pin lock ready version of the visor. So if I was gonna be buying this helmet and I knew I was gonna be commuting or riding in the cold, I would 100% get the pin lock insert ready visor as well as a pin lock insert to go with it, because that way you know you are safe against fogging and you don't have to worry about it. The only other little note I will have about the visor, the clarity through the visor was nice, had no problems there, but when I was looking forward through the visor and I looked up and towards the edges of the visor, there's a little distortion line going on around the perimeter of the visor. This would normally not be a problem, but when you mix that distortion with the fact that the helmet is a little longer and I kept getting stuck on my shoulder, my eye naturally had to go to the very edge of my periphery to see the traffic behind me. That's where that distortion was on the lens. So both of these problems individually wouldn't really be that big of a deal, but when you mix the hitting here and having to look to the side with that distortion, there was a couple times that, you know, it would cause me to have to double take to make sure I'm seeing what I thought I saw. And riding on the street with cars around you is the last place you want to have to be doing a double take to make sure you saw what you saw. Alright, so guys, next up, let's talk about ventilation. Now, we saw in the front of the helmet, it has those big front vents and then the little brow vents. I think the brow vents do an okay job of funneling air through the top of the helmet and out the rear, so that way you're not gonna have hot, stagnant air inside your helmet, but that's pretty much the only thing you're gonna get out of those little brow vents. I don't think you're really gonna be feeling much from those. Most of the air that's going to be coming in towards your face is going to be from those mouth vents that you control on the inside of the helmet. So all the testing that I've been doing is in the cold, so I've been able to feel all the air coming into the helmet, and let's just say I could happily ride with all of the vents open on this helmet and not get cold at all. I really expected, when I had the front vents fully open, to feel a lot of air coming in, but interestingly, all the air that came in was kind of channeling to my lower jaw area. There didn't seem to be a lot of air that was like being pressed towards my face. Another interesting thing that I noted was when I had all of the vents shut, I could still feel a little bit of air kind of like flowing in around my helmet. I guess it was getting in underneath the chin vent. Maybe that's one of the downsides of having so much space in between your mouth and the, front side of the helmet. You have a lot of, availability for air to get in. Overall, if you are going to be riding with this helmet in the summertime, I very much think you are going to have it with a cracked visor or maybe a visor fully open. There's just not enough air with just the vents alone to keep you cool if you're riding in the heat, especially if you've got a black model and you're riding around really low speed environments where you're stuck in a lot of traffic, like in a downtown busy area. That would get kind of hot. All right, so guys, next up, let's do our noise test on the helmet. If this is our first helmet review that you guys have watched, I have a helmet test that I do for every helmet that we review here. I have a microphone that I just stick to the side of the helmet, and I put the mic in the front of the helmet. I ride at city speeds and highway speeds, and then I put that microphone by my ear so you guys can understand what you're gonna be hearing while you're riding in the helmet. Let me show you guys the testing. Alrighty guys, there you go, that's our audio testing. I will note that, I don't know if this came through in the audio testing, but this was a more quiet helmet. I wouldn't call it as quiet as a showy RF1400, but that's on the far end of the quiet end. But it was very comfortable to ride around in, and I forgot my earplugs when I was going and doing that testing, so overall I was pretty impressed with how quiet it was. Alright, so guys, next up let's talk about visibility, because this is somewhere that it is super strange. First off is the viewport. It's massive. I feel like I have never ridden in a helmet that has this big of a viewport when I open the visor and look at it. Also, the amount of visibility through that viewport is not ideal. So I'll explain all this. So when I look through the helmet, I feel like I can see up a little bit, and then I feel like I can see down forever. When I was looking out my MT-10, I could see a little bit of the sky ahead of me, but I could see all the way down to my tank bag when I was looking forward. I've never been able to do that in a helmet before. But one of the things I noted was all of the view that I get is down. I get slightly up so I can see like red lights and stuff, but I have more visibility of my dash and what's going on underneath me than I do what's ahead of me and above me, which is a really weird sensation. If you guys have never ridden in a race helmet, it's almost the exact opposite. You can barely see your dash, if at all, but you can see a ton above you, and that's because if you're in a race position, you're tucked in, and you need to be able to look up and see ahead of you so the air can flow over you, right? That's the whole idea. The Covert X is basically the opposite. You have very low visibility above you, but ton under you. So, you know, just as an idea, just to test it out, when I was on my MT-10, I tucked in, and I actually could not see the road. So that's how little visibility upwards you have. I guess one of the ideal things about the bigger viewport is if you are riding in the summertime, you could put sunglasses on and get a ton of airflow, like a whirlwind of airflow going on in front of your face. So I guess there's pros and cons to it. The view style is not really for me, but maybe you like looking at all the instruments and stuff like that more than you like seeing what's going on in front of you. Alright, so next up, let's talk about the comm setup that I used on this helmet and how it did. So, as I guys told you, I installed my Cardopack Talk Pro on this helmet, and it is a little different than other helmets that I've installed it on. So if you guys look at the side of the helmet, it has this weird little profile line that runs along the side. That makes it almost impossible to find a flat surface to attach your Cardo to, but it's kind of okay, at least in my example. So the model I have is the matte black or matte gray, whatever they call it, but that matte material does not let things get stuck to it. So it kind of worked out that I had to do the Cardo setup that I did anyway. I tried taping stuff, I tried 3M'ing stuff to the outside of this helmet, and it doesn't like anything. Luckily, Cardo includes, as part of their Pack Talk Pro, a little clamp situation, so you can slide it up on the side of the helmet, and it adds a mount to the side, and you can just click your Cardo in on that. I use that with absolutely no problem, and it puts it in a really nice place, so just keep that in mind. If you are gonna go with the matte option of the Covert FX, you're gonna have an issue sticking things to the side of it. If you're doing things like sticking a GoPro or an action camera, just keep that in mind. It might be a little hurdle you gotta get past. Now, going to the inside of the helmet, things get a lot nicer here. One, we have speaker cutouts that are the perfect size for the speakers that the Cardo comes with, almost. So the roundness of the cutout is perfect. The only issue that I noted is they're really shallow, so it actually sticks the speaker out a little bit. I wish those were recessed a little more, especially for these new age speakers. They are thick old boys, but I mean, the sound sounds fantastic. I kind of got around this issue because my helmet was too large anyway, but I would worry that if I had gotten a large and I would have had that shallow speaker cutout, the speaker might have been pressing against my ear. Obviously, I can't comment on that because that's not the size that I have, but that's something to keep in mind. It also has wire routing right past the speaker cutout, so that's really nice that, you know, Scorpion's thinking about these things that we're going to be installing in these helmets and making it easy for us to install them. I also had plenty of space inside the helmet to route my wiring and stuff like that. Thanks to the little neck roll padding, it allows you to really like stuff wires in there, and you can end up getting a really clean setup. Also, not only was this helmet really quiet, but the audio out of the Cardo was really loud. So if you are like me and you like riding your motorcycle and listening to your music at absolutely obscene levels, this is a good helmet for you. It is on par with the Shoei RF1400 with how loud your music sounds. I need earplugs to listen to my music at full volume. So that's a pro in my book. Next up, let's move on to talk about moto vlogging with the Covert FX if you guys are interested in that. Now, generally, this is a pretty solid helmet to motovlog with if you can get around a few issues, and we'll talk through those. So externally on the helmet, you guys have that big flat area in the front of the helmet. That is a fantastic place to do some sort of camera mount that is out of your way and looks directly at what you're looking at. The only issue you're gonna have to overcome is finding out some way to attach a camera mount to that outside material if you have the matte version. This is where, if you're planning on getting this helmet as a motovlogging helmet, which I definitely think you should, especially considering the price, definitely get one of the gloss options. Do not get the matte option. Do not get the matte option. Now, regardless of the exterior material, you are going to have an issue with the interior material. One of the nice things about the Covert FX is there is a lot of space between your mouth and where the helmet touches, right? So you have plenty of area for your voice to sound good in this helmet. So I think a lot of people that want to motovlog with this helmet are going to have good audio options. The problem is that interior material is also really hard to get stuff stuck to. I tried 3M, I tried double-sided sticky, I tried tape, nothing wanted to work. Matter of fact, when I filmed the first rides of this helmet, 3 times while filming that, I had the tape that was holding my microphone on fall down because it just doesn't like getting stuck to whatever material that is. Overall, when you mix that front easy mounting spot, plenty of room for your audio, and a quiet helmet that's comfortable, this helmet's got a lot of the things it needs to be a pretty good motovlogging helmet. By the way, if you are looking into motovlogging, click the secret link in the description down below. I'm working on a really big project that I think you're really going to be interested in. That's all I'll say, and I will keep on moving forward. Check the description below. Alright guys, so it's time to find out how the Scorpion Covert FX does in a chase score. For comfort and fit, I'm going to give it a 7. For ventilation, I'm going to give it a 4. Noise level is actually getting a 9. Now, visibility's got to get a 5. Weight-wise, I'm going to give it a 7. Comm setup, I'm giving it an 8. For the motovlog setup, I'm going to give it a 7. For the features, I'm going to give it a 6. value for money, I'm actually gonna give a 9. And durability and build quality is going to get a 7. That's gonna be a total chase score of a 69 out of 100. All right, so guys, let's sum all this up with the final thoughts of the Covert FX. One, I feel like my review is slightly skewed for a couple reasons. One, the sizing being a little off and me not being able to judge the correct helmet size, which would have also changed the exterior shell size. So that could have changed the overall look and feel of this helmet by quite a lot. So that sucks. Two, I really wish I would have gotten a gloss material. When I saw matte and I saw it online, I was really interested in that and wanted to check that out. Having seen it in person, I'm really just not a fan of it, the way it feels and the way it looks. So that really throws me off with this helmet. I would really like to get a white one with maybe like a reflective gold visor with a pin lock in it. I think that would totally change this review. I think for the price, this is a solid freaking helmet that you definitely need to check out. The only thing I would urge you to do is try one on in person so that you can feel what the helmet feels like and you can make sure you get your right helmet size. Overall, for everything it can do, I think it's a pretty cool helmet to check out for its price point. I just really am just ticked off that I didn't get the right size, and I hate that matte material. But I tell you guys in every review, I'm only riding in these helmets for like 3 weeks. If you guys have a Covert FX, jump in the comments down below and let us know what you think about the helmet. Do you agree or disagree with something I've said? Because I'm gonna go with what y'all are saying, not what I'm saying, since I don't have a ton of time and I got the wrong dang size. But if you guys are thinking of buying one, ask questions in the comments down below, and that way the guys that have been riding in them can help you guys find out if it is the right helmet for y'all. Because at the end of the day, all I want this video to do is help you guys get in the right helmet. If that is helping facilitate a conversation in the comments down below, then mission accomplished. If you guys are in the market for your next helmet, make sure to use our affiliate links in the description down below. It really goes a long way to helping us keep making these independent helmet reviews for you guys. I'm Chaseontwowheels. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later, guys.